Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Mind Your Soul. And today's focus is on having some core strategies for anxiety management. And therefore, I invited Dr. Belynder Walia, who is, she's so many things. Recently, she just published her amazing book, Fix Me, which has a whole toolkit for anxiety management. So that's the reason why you're here. But will you please introduce yourself to the listeners?
Of course. Hello, Farah, and thank you so much for inviting me on your podcast today. I really do appreciate you. And as you rightly said, I'm an author now, and it's really exciting. But by profession, I'm a psychotherapist and an anxiety expert. But my true passion, I've discovered, is writing. So I'm really proud of my new book, Fix Me. Of course, I have to show it off on your podcast.
Of course, and that's so amazing. Like you sharing all of your expertise in a book, like very hands-on book that people can actually just, look up and have some strategies or toolkit because often we need a toolkit, like how can we implement this in our lives, right?
Yeah.
Going to therapy or going to coaching, but we need the practical element, and sometimes I feel like it's kind of lacking. Often it's like theories out there, but like to have something hands on, do this, and this will help you with calming your nervous system or whatever. I think that's amazing what you're doing. And that's why I just had to have you on the podcast. Of course, I
Oh,
had to.
thank you. Thank you so much. No, it's really a pleasure to be here. And I really enjoy, being an anxiety expert. And once you've got all those tools behind you, I mean, sadly, I've experienced anxiety myself and worked with lots of
Mhm.
people that experience anxieties. And as I said, sadly, people have been experiencing anxiety a lot more since lockdowns happen. And from that moment, it's nice to know that mental health is being brought to the forefront, especially people that are suffering from anxiety more and more. There seems to be a lot of uncertainty in our world at the moment. So I thought it's a perfect time to have my book published.
I agree. Yeah, COVID did a lot of things to us. And I think actually the one thing that was good is like the focus on mental health
Yes.
was more enhanced due to COVID. Like it's always been there, but like the focus is so much more on mental health now. So I definitely think your book just being released is on the perfect timing. So I have some questions for you related to your amazing book. Could you share one or two of your most impactful strategies for managing anxiety, and kind of describe how they help your clients? It's a big
Certainly.
question.
No, certainly. I think the most impactful strategy for anxiety is physical exercise. I think engaging in regular physical exercise has been shown to be highly effective in reducing anxiety symptoms. And a lot of people don't realize this. Now, I know many. Like the idea of exercise, but they just can't find the motivation to do it. But what people have to understand is that exercise actually releases those natural endorphins, which are natural mood boosters. And these chemicals in the brain have got a feel good factor. Now, I know again that a lot of people they say, oh, they want a quick fix or a tablet to boost their mood. But exercise is that mood enhancer. And besides, exercise doesn't have to be so complicated. It just helps reduce that muscle tension and promotes better sleep, both for which contributes to the anxiety and the anxiety reduction, I should say. So if your listeners feel stuck, and they need that encouragement, they can get it from people in their inner circle as well. And that's the second thing. So get involved in support groups, dance, walk, simple exercises make a huge difference. So I would say social support is the other thing that helps with maintaining that and managing that anxiety. have that trusted support system, a sense of belonging, understanding, and
Yeah,
validation, someone to talk to. All of these things help with maintaining anxiety and alleviating the symptoms. And they're really quite simple things.
absolutely. We're tribe people. Like we thrive in tribes.
Yes,
And
I like
yes,
that.
and that is one thing also for mental health. That's like it's just as important to have social belonging. I think that's the most important actually. Of course,
Yes,
exercise is important. I talk about this a lot, but like the social thing that was cut off in COVID, that just that detriment like that I
it is.
think took a very tough toll on people because what happens in the brain is that the whole reward system, the whole gratification, and the whole feeling of belonging, like we need that, and that gives us the most satisfaction, actually.
Yeah,
Even though
absolutely.
we take it for granted sometimes, but that is actually very important to have that circle, as you just mentioned. And yeah,
It is.
exercise is not supposed to be 2 hours in the gym. Like I think it's like a social like when you see the commercials, they're all like, "Ooh, I'm pumping," and it's like, no, like you can go for 20-minute walk in nature, and your dopamine levels would be up by 70%. Like this is research, so it's like, come on now, it's not that hard. Like to go for a walk, you don't have to do strength training or you don't have to do tough training. Of course, it's good to do it, but yeah. So I agree with you. It's accessible. Like you can do
It
it.
is absolutely, and as you said, it's those misconceptions people have of exercise, isn't it? And it can be so simple, a stretch in the morning, and the idea when you're in the shower just dancing and moving, and when you're just going up and down stairs is a form of exercise. People don't realize the simplest things have an impact and are mood enhancers, and that helps maintain that anxiety, and it helps you manage it. And the other thing is, I think, as you were saying as well, COVID had such an impact. Those lockdowns caused so much uncertainty. And with everything else that's going on in the world and the exposure on the news, it's so negative. That
Yeah, that's very
uncertainty,
tough to be
again,
in. Yeah,
it triggers it, doesn't it? And I know you
it
said a
does.
few things to help manage and contain that anxiety people feel. I think another important one that's just coming to mind right now is the limitations of watching negative news or having negative exposure on social media. That it's really impacting people's anxiety levels, and it's really quite sad
Very
to
much.
see.
Yeah, so it's very, I think everybody's having anxiety of what's going on in the world currently, which is like, yeah, I have no words for it. Like it's high anxiety levels. And so what I did personally was that I stopped being on social media in the evening and watching the news, like not watching the news on social media and the news,
Yeah,
because I was not sleeping in the beginning of the war. I was actually not sleeping. I was
yeah,
having all the nightmares during the night, and it was affecting me during the day, obviously, because I was not sleeping well. So it's like it was like a circle, right? Then your day gets affected, and my mood got affected, and my whole persona got affected. So I was like, no, I can't watch it in the morning, and in the evening I have to do it like mid of the day. If I want to watch it, I will do it like midday, where I can
yes.
still go for a run or like get it out of my system because it's affecting me so much. And people do that, right? They're on their phones in the evenings and scrolling, and then they're getting it all in, and your brain does not, like, it doesn't stop just because you put the phone away. It just keeps going.
I know,
So
and
yeah,
those limitations have to be put in place. They really do, because
so
people don't
important.
realize that scrolling, before you know it, there's so many hours that go by, and the impact that is having on your brain. I mean, you know this more than anything.
Yes, that's why I said like the
Yeah.
brain is still awake. It's not
Yes.
sleeping just because you decided to go to bed. But you boosted it just before bedtime. So
Yeah.
no, it's gonna
Yeah.
affect you in your sleep. You're not sleeping well. You're not having the deep sleep that we need, and that affects you throughout the day as well. It just keeps going around and around, right? So we have to have the
Absolutely.
limitations in place, just like you said. Very important. I think that was a very good advice. All of it was, but the limitations very vital for your mental health. I would say
Yeah,
currently, as what's going on in the world, I think we have to take those measurements. Um,
I think so, especially if it's going to impact your sleeping patterns. And we do, and that's a part of self-care, isn't it? And
it is.
that's something I talk a lot about in my book, about emphasizing the power of your own self relationship and emotional
Yeah, I was just
empowerment.
going to ask you a follow-up question to that. So please go on about the self relationship because I think that is very important one to address.
Yeah, no, definitely. You see, I think it's really important that we develop a better relationship with oneself, because it
Mhm,
contributes to managing that anxiety and taking control of your own life. When you have those limitations, for example, in place with the mobile phone, and making sure that you're unwinding in a way that impacts your better sleep patterns and things like that, makes you feel more calm when you're going to bed. And I don't know who will agree with me, but developing a better relationship with oneself is crucial, in a very crucial aspect in managing anxiety and taking control, because um, I can list a few ways. And the first would be that self-awareness. Building a better relationship with oneself involves like cultivating self-awareness, which is the ability to recognize and understand your own thoughts and
mhm,
emotions and behaviors. If you don't understand yourself, then it's very difficult for other people to understand you. So you've got to know your individual triggers and patterns that contribute to that anxiety, and how they're impacting you. And this awareness allows you to make conscious choices, like you were talking earlier on about stopping certain habits just before you go to bed, because you know that they're negatively impacting you and triggering that anxiety. So to avoid that, you should be able
mhm,
to take those proactive steps to
mhm.
manage that anxiety effectively. And the second one probably be self-compassion. A lot of people talk about self-love and things like that. So I say in the book, I mentioned this quite a few times. I say, there should be that self-awareness there. And then once you're aware of your triggers, there should be that self-acceptance. You should be able to accept, okay, I need to, I'm using you as an example. Sorry, Farah, but I just think it's
It's
relevant.
fine.
But
I'm on the
say,
spot, right?
so say, for example, you're saying to yourself, okay, I know that I'm getting negatively impacted by the news just
Mhm,
before I go to bed. I know I need to get off my device or watch anything that's going to negatively impact me. Therefore, I need to accept that's something I have to change. So I talk
mhm.
about self acceptance and then the self compassion, because you see, I know, and I'm sure that you may have come across this yourself, but anxiety can often be accompanied by self-criticism and negative self-talk. And when we
Yeah,
develop
I talk about limiting beliefs a lot, like manifestations and mindsets. Big believer of all of that. Rewiring of thought, neuroplasticity. So keep on. Very
Yeah,
true.
yeah, no. So when you're developing that self-compassion, it involves treating yourself with that kindness, that understanding and acceptance, and especially during times of anxiety, treating yourself almost as you would treat a best friend. And by
Yeah.
practicing that self-compassion, individuals can counteract that self-judgment and have a more supportive and nurturing inner dialogue. And
Mm.
this can help reduce that anxiety, again promote emotional well-being. And there's so much. I mean, I can carry on. There's the emotional empowerment people should have. Anxiety can sometimes be fueled by um, unprocessed or suppressed emotions. And
Oh
so when
yeah.
you're developing a better relationship with yourself, it involves acknowledging again and validating your own emotions, allowing for there to be healthy expression to release those emotions as
Yes.
well. And it goes back to what we started with, that support network. Sometimes in order to release and express
Mhm.
yourself. There should be,
Mhm.
it helps a lot when you have people around you and you have that support network around you. And when you're understanding your own emotions, you can gain a sense of emotional empowerment. You're aware of what you're feeling, and that can contribute to that anxiety management, can't it? And shall I go on? I can go on and
No,
on.
well, it's very true. No, I think all you're saying are like valid points. And also the fact, the first thing you just said, like you have to be aware. That's where it begins. I talk about this a lot, going from the subconscious to conscious living, I call it, because sometimes we are triggered and sometimes we don't exactly, we can pinpoint what it is that's triggering us. But then look at your like, and then you have to dig a bit deeper, and there are tools to do that, obviously, also. But like, yeah, so it's kind of hard to be conscious about something you don't know. Like, it's hard to be aware of something if you don't know what it is you have to be aware of. So first
Yeah,
of all, figuring that out, and then you can go to the awareness state where you know, okay, so is my sleep is being impacted because I'm watching the war just before sleep time, just like I mentioned. Oh, that's why I'm sleeping so poorly. Okay, I gotta switch that. Now we have awareness. Now we're trying to incorporate a new habit, and all
mm,
new things take time. Habits do take time. Um, but it's like, okay, I can try not to use my phone, and then you do it again because it was successful, and you keep on going, right?
yeah,
So being aware is crucial. It's like number one for growth, I would say. Um,
definitely for personal
but
growth.
sometimes
It,
I think you experience this with your clients, like you were saying, the emotional, everything. Yeah, the what relationship with one, it is very vital. If you don't understand yourself, like how can you heal or move on or acknowledge your emotions? But having experienced like people not knowing where they're healing from, or like they don't know where this emotional trigger is coming from,
yeah,
and they feel very anxious, right? So it's
yeah,
yeah,
they do. And I think that's a part of the self relationship. So they can have those identifications in place. They can
yes,
identify that, okay, my habits have changed, my mood has changed.
yes,
And
absolutely, you're right.
yeah, so when they uh, take care of their physical, if something physical or emotional or mental, sorry, has changed
Mhm.
within them, of course, then it is a part of a trigger or a sign that indicates, okay, I need to look at this from a different perspective. I need to know what's impacting me and changing my behaviors, maybe towards the way I'm feeling and thinking about myself and other people around me.
Mhm. Mhm. So
So
would you say that relationship with oneself is like the most important one to have?
I I would
Ready? Oh,
because
yeah.
because again, that emotional empowerment that I spoke about, it helps you develop better relationships. So if you have a better relationship with yourself, of course you're not projecting negativity towards others, and that helps you
True.
and um, build better relationships with other people. You see, it involves acknowledging and validating yourself and how you feel about yourself to then be able to express healthy expressions towards other people. I think so. What do you think?
Mhm.
What do you think? Do you think it's important to have that self
Yeah, no,
relationship?
I think all of the things you said is so beautiful. No, so yeah, so I've been like, I think it happened for like 4 or 5 years ago. I was like, I have to switch things. I have to put me first. So I was on my journey started around 5 years ago. So I was like, I have to like, I've always been. So I'm a mother. So you know, yeah,
Mm,
I'm a mother and I'm a single mom. So my kids always came first. And giving birth to number three, I just realized, no, I come first. Even though, of course, I love my baby, and I was pregnant with
mm,
him at the time. But I realized that I have to put myself first because when I do things that I love, I'm just a better mother. Um,
yeah,
So five
That's
years ago,
wonderful.
I switched everything around, and I was in my discovery journey, and I'm still am. It's been 5 years along the road, but I'm still doing more and more of the things that kind of fuel my soul, because then I'm just a happier version of me, getting that daily dose of happiness. Not only looking forward to the weekends or the holidays. I was in the same autopilot as so many people, like working 9 to 5 and being like an autopilot mode. And oh yeah, it's Friday now, I can relax.
Mm,
No, I want to get up every day and be happy and have something I look forward to every single day. So I wanted to change that. So I did. I left my 9 to 5. I created my own business. I'm doing what
that's
I love
amazing.
each and
Mm,
every day. I know. I'm taking risk. I left a high paying job. Money is not everything. It does give you comfort, but it didn't give me like what my soul needed.
yeah.
So
And
yeah, it
I
took me
think,
2 years to take that decision. Like to make that decision, it took me 2 years, because I am a single mom. Facts. I am supporting a family. That's
yeah,
facts.
that's
But
amazing. I didn't realize that about you, and kudos to you, because a lot of single mothers like yourself, it is really difficult for them to even consider that time for themselves, and but I know it comes back to that analogy of the oxygen mask, doesn't it? If you don't put the
it does
mask on yourself,
exactly what
you
they say
haven't
in
got
air.
the inner strength. Yeah,
If I don't have the strength, how I'm going to uplift my kids, how I'm going to be there for them.
yeah.
And so yeah, I am a single mom of three. I work 10, 12 hours a day, but I still get to exercise each and every day. But
Mm.
but when I say I work 10, 12 hours, it's because I work with what I love. So it doesn't feel like work. And I
Oh,
do
that's
take breaks.
wonderful.
I take breaks throughout the day. Otherwise, like cognitively speaking, you can't do more than 6 hours of good performance. So I do take lots of breaks throughout the day, and I have long breaks with my kids as well. And then I go back to something, because I work with the US. So
Mm.
we have time zone differences. So yeah, so I think like betting on myself, I did it. So like it started 5 years ago, but 7 months ago, I bet on myself and left the job that looked very good on the paper. And so I had it all on the paper, but I was not happy.
Mm.
I had an urge to work with in the mental health aspect and
Yes,
share my knowledge with the world. That is what I wanted to do, and here we are today. Like
I know, and
so,
it's wonderful because here you are hosting a podcast. That's
yes.
absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, I started this podcast and my business at the same time in July,
Yeah,
so it hasn't been long. Yeah, so I think just taking a leap of faith and aligning with yourself, just like you said, relationship with yourself. So the 5 years, like it took the 5 years to get me where I am today. So me like being more in tune with myself, like listening to my intuition, feeling my triggers, acknowledging my emotions, doing what's good for my brain, like not to scroll, be on the phone, doing meditation, breathing exercises, doing all the things I tell my clients, like doing it and living it and know the effects of it. It does have, tremendous effect on your mental health. Uh,
absolutely,
like
absolutely.
you said. So I think I agree with you when you say a relationship with your oneself is where it begins. This is how you combat your own anxiety, because we all have anxiety. It will never go away fully, but you can
Yeah,
have some tools, right? Like you say in the book, you talk a lot about the relationship between the head, heart, and the gut, in Fix Me. Can you please
yeah.
elaborate on that, the relationship between these parts?
Yes, I talk about understanding and harmonizing the connection between the head,
Yes.
heart, and gut, and how
Yeah.
it can contribute to better the anxiety management and overall well-being. You see, the head, and this is the part I know that you'll know about completely, because the head represents our rational thinking, doesn't it, and our logical analysis. And by understanding our thoughts and cognitive patterns, we can
Yes.
identify anxious or negative thinking patterns that contribute to
Absolutely,
anxiety.
100%. Yes,
So I think through practices like cognitive restructuring, the meditation helps a lot, by the way. And
Oh,
I
yeah.
talk about mindfulness often, but we can challenge and reframe those thoughts. And before I go on to that, I do want to clarify something. People have misconceptions again about meditation. Meditation doesn't mean sitting still for God
I
knows
know.
how many
It's
minutes.
so funny. I know. It's funny.
Yeah. And it can be, again, that walk in the park and just taking in what you're actually seeing and connecting with your senses. What is it that you can see, touch, smell, taste, etc. And I'm going off on a tangent, sorry. So
No, no, but it's true. I call it grounding. So it's like a
yeah,
grounding
yeah,
exercise.
yeah,
I
that's
use it with my clients. I've used it on myself. I still use it when I have to like get myself back to the present. Like I know this feeling is temporarily. When I'm feeling anxiety, I always try to find out why I'm feeling like this.
yeah,
How can I work with my anxiety right now? So
yeah.
this is that
And that,
feeling needs. I do the grounding actually, just what you said, the senses. I actually do it,
yeah.
and it
Well,
helps a
and
lot to
it's
get
in my
back to
book.
reality.
If people need it as a tool, it's in my book. But exactly what you're saying, we can really challenge and reframe those thoughts by
Yeah,
promoting a more balanced and realistic perspective as well. And that grounding technique, it
I
brings
love
you
it.
back
Yeah,
to reality because you're in the present, aren't you? And this
yes,
helps reduce that anxiety and promotes a sense of calm and clarity. And when we talk about calm and clarity, again, the emotions, your heart symbolizing our emotions, and
mhm,
intuitive wisdom as well, we can identify the underlying causes of the anxiety and address them
mm,
effectively. If we know something's impacting us negatively, acknowledge it and express those emotions in a healthy way, such as through journaling. Journaling is wonderful. Talking
journaling is
to a friend.
amazing.
I know people don't realize the benefits of journaling.
It's the
It's
simple
an
things.
upload.
Yeah,
Sorry, I
yeah. I
didn't hear
think
you.
actually the power lays in the simple things like
Yes,
journaling.
yeah,
Sometimes they want something. They're like, "Oh, you're a neuroscientist. What can you suggest? A brain hack?" And I'm like, "Journal it. I will
yeah,
give you some questions. Journal the answers because the answers are within you." And they're like, "What? Journal it? That's not like They think I will come with like something. Oh, do something. I don't know, amazing with your brain or work with this area." But I'm like, "Yeah, journal it because you have the
yeah.
answers. You're
And
gonna find out by doing."
another simple thing. Sometimes when you're saying something out loud to a friend, a trusted friend, or engaging in creative outlets like painting or expressing and
Yes,
releasing that emotional tension, you gain a deeper understanding again of yourself. And that's what we're trying to do, is get you to build that emotional awareness and that um, processing that contribute to emotional resilience and improve your well-being. And of course, when you're able to do that, the anxiety doesn't, it is a part of our DNA, but it doesn't impact you
yeah,
so negatively because you know how to manage it and process it. And that
exactly.
brings me onto the gut. And this is why I speak about um, gut health in the book, because I talk about how the gut represents our intuition and um, our instincts and our responses. When you pay attention to your gut feelings, it can help us make better decisions that align with our values. And we can, when we're doing things instinctively, we are being authentic. I think we are being very authentic
Absolutely.
because
No, it's true.
when we trust our intuition and we're confident about it, again, we that confidence overrides the anxiety, and it reduces that anxiety. And anything that
Absolutely.
is indecisive makes us feel that self-doubt, doesn't it? So when you're confident and you're trusting yourself, again, brings
Yeah,
me back
yeah, it
to
is
that
once trusting
self-relationship,
oneself. Yeah,
then of course you're able to defeat those elements of anxiety that are negative. So I say to people all the time, practice mindfulness, meditation, body awareness. This is another
Oh
one
yeah.
to know what's impacting you, where in your body is it
Yes.
impacting you, and that can help you to connect with your gut instincts as well and develop a stronger sense of self-trust. And
Mhm.
when you understand all of these things, you're harmonizing these aspects of yourself, and we create a, and I'm making reference to my book. I got my book here, so I'm making
No,
reference to
that's
it.
fine.
That's why I
Good.
keep looking down.
Yeah, no, but it's good. So the listeners, and yeah, the listeners will definitely. I think your book is amazing because it has all the tools in there,
Yeah, and
um,
when
all
you're
the exercises.
harmonizing, you're I talk about in the chapters, especially at the end, calming anxiety naturally. It's under chapter 15. I talk about how holistic approach to anxiety management and overall well-being, not just anxiety, allows us to integrate our thoughts, our emotions, and our intuition, leading to, again, that greater self-awareness
Mhm.
and that emotional balance. And more than anything, when you talk to people, you say, what would you really want in life? It's that inner peace. People want inner peace. They don't want the stress.
We
And
all want inner.
yeah, and I think that's so important. And that's why I talk quite extensively about that interconnectedness, because I think it makes us become
Mhm.
more resilient and grounded and enables us to navigate anxiety with greater ease. And I think that's really important. So I'm going to say it again.
I think
Refer to
very.
this book.
No, but it's good. It's good, and that's why you're on the podcast, so the listeners can actually, after this episode is done, you can all. Where can we access your book? I know it's on Amazon. Is there other places as well? Or do you have links for it? Where can people access you and your book? Because I think that will benefit lots of listeners.
As soon as you Google Fix Me by Belinda Walia, you will find it's in all major bookstores and it's international as well. So, really, you can
Amazing.
purchase it anywhere. And now it's available at the airports and some major London train
Oh
stations as
wow!
well, which is brilliant.
I
So,
always
you
buy
can
books
find
at
it.
airports. I'm one of them. I'm one of them.
Yeah, so if you're traveling, pick one up. But yes, W.H. Smith, Spoils, Waterstones, anywhere, international bookstores, major international
That is
bookstores.
amazing.
But if you want to find um, easy access, you can just go to my link tree at the top of my Instagram page or Facebook page.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, you have
Yeah,
everything
definitely.
in there. Yeah, that's very nice because then listeners, well, it is a mental health podcast, so listeners are here for a reason. We all want to understand ourselves better and yeah, and cope with anxiety. And I think you gave very good examples on how to do so, and that it actually starts with you. You have to know yourself better in order to cope your anxiety, and then you can be a better version of yourself, and thus. You handle your anxiety with the tools that are presented in your book, and there are so many tools that we can use, but if we incorporate it as a daily habit, we will be better at combating our anxiety. This is how I see it, and now people can also get access to your book, which is amazing and is worldwide, so there's like no excuses.
Mhm.
Thank you so much for coming on. I think it was a very interesting perspective you shared on the head, heart, and gut, and the whole thing about it's oneself. Like that is the main point of anxiety. It's like understanding yourself. So thank you for coming
Thank
on.
you. Thank you, Farah. It's been a pleasure. It's a delight to speak to you.
Thank you. Take care. Bye.
Bye.